Wager Week 11. Get right into it. Absolutely been doing terrible. That's the truth of the matter. 3 weeks in a row have not done well. So let's start with the Thursday night game. I hate everything about this game. New England and the Jets. I just don't. There's nothing about it that intrigues me. I think it's kind of a trappy spot for New England with this 13 points. There's just not a lot there to like for me. Something I did see on the touchdown scores for New England. Stephon Diggs is plus 148, almost 150. He's had a touchdown in 3 straight games. To me, he's kind of turned into their tight end in the red zone from what I've been seeing. He looks like he kind of gets those plays. He gets a lot of the red zone looks. So if you're going to play in this game, something in this game, I like that Diggs TD. I'll probably have that on game time. I'm not going to play it now. I also like this 250 passing yards by Drake May. You got to remember, no Sauce Gardner, no Quentin Williams. So the Jets aren't going to get much of a rush. So I imagine May will have a good day. And at plus 118, you bet both of them bets. If one comes in, you make some money. That's kind of going to be where I'm at. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet because I just really don't like this game. I think there's a bunch more college basketball that day that is a much better plays. That's really all I have to say about this. It's supposed to be cold. It's supposed to be like 38 degrees. New England is a lot better than the Jets. A lot better. But that total being 43, laying 13, they don't expect much out of the Jets. I would hate for like a late kick return or something to cover that backdoor, that spread. I wouldn't mess with anything there. I would play Drake. And again, you're worried about Drake May sitting out the fourth quarter in this one. I mean, although he is playing for an MVP right now, so they might not do that. But I just don't. I don't like much about this one at all. Like I said, Diggs for a TD seems reasonable at almost 1.5 to 1. And Drake May 250 passing yards or more for 118. That's a plus 118. So them are okay to me. They're probably worth a small bet, like whatever your minimum bet is. But overall, I just really hate that game. All right, let's go to the Commanders and Dolphins. The only reason I'm going to talk about this one is because it's in Madrid. I don't think Washington can stop anything Achane does. I just don't think they can. Washington can't stop anything really. Miami is coming off a big high, beating the Buffalo Bills. Miami's better than their record indicates. I would venture to say they're a lot better than their record indicates. They just early on in the year there was a lot of injuries there. They lose Tyreek Hill. They had to adjust to that. So I think they've actually become a better team without Hill, without the focus on him. But I don't mind laying the 3 here, or just playing the money line. I just don't think there's much. I'm gonna just put 15 on it. I'm not a huge fan of the game, but early game like that, I just don't think Washington has anything since they've lost Daniels. I just don't think Mariota has anything for that. Plus, Achane's going to have a day against that Washington defense. So if you're going to bet his total rushing and receiving, it's at 121, which isn't high. That's what he would be versus a good team. So it's not a huge deal to lay 121 there with his rushing receiving yards. But I'm just going to take Miami -3. I think it's an okay bet. Like I said, it's about my minimum play. So now let's get to my best bets. I have 2 of them. I'm going to talk about them a little bit. I'm going back to the tried and true stuff. No fancy stuff, no teasers, no adjustments, no nothing. We're just going to take Kansas City off a bye, laying 4. I think this is a good bet. I'm going to go 40. I think this is probably one of the best bets of the day, if not the best bet of the day. The Broncos offense can't score. Kansas City's defense will stop them. They just don't pose any threat to Kansas City, and Kansas City's coming off a bye. Andy Reid is 22-4 off a bye in his career. And with Mahomes, he's 6-1. I know they got to cover 4, but I'm not expecting the Broncos to score much. It would surprise me in this game if the Broncos break 14. I would be shocked. I know that the Broncos field a good defense, but Bo Nix is going to turn the ball over a few times in this one. I just think off a bye, it's what Andy Reid does. He's really great off of a bye. I don't see that changing this week. I know it's in Denver, but again, like I said, off a bye. Denver just came off a miserable Thursday night game. I'm just not buying it. I'll lay the 4. I think you could have got it at 3 earlier in the week, which is obviously better, but I did not. All right, and my other one is Detroit Philly. This is such a big game. Likely, this is going to dictate some of the number 1 seed in the NFC, and then the other big game, Rams and Seattle, will dictate too. I think we'll have a little bit of a separation between some of these teams. Sorry, I'm looking at a basketball game. But I like the over 47. Both of these teams are 5-4 on the overs this year, at both averaging 55% of the time the over. But when they've had these higher numbers, 46 and higher, 45 and higher, this is when they go over. On the lower numbers is when they've been going under. This is kind of a grudge match game. They both know how much it means. I think Philadelphia is going to want to put on a show, but more than that, I think Philadelphia will be able to run the ball against Detroit. I actually don't think Detroit's a very good run-stopping team. They just end up, what they do is they get ahead of people so the other team has to pass a lot. I don't think that happens with Detroit. I'm going to take this over 47. I like it. Put 20 if I can get it to do its thing. And those are my 2 bets. Those are the ones I like the most this week. Again, if you like, I have not done well recently. I still think I'm right at 60% on the year, but not the last 3 weeks. The last 3 weeks I've been getting crushed. So keep that in mind, that I've been off a little bit lately. And like I said, I don't like a lot this week. I think this week is for the football fan, for a fan watching the game, it's an awesome week because of the games we get, right? Bears-Vikings, good game. Tampa-Buffalo, Seattle-Rams, Kansas City-Denver, and Detroit and Philly. I mean, these are excellent football games that mean a lot in the NFL right now. They're huge deal games. Especially this Rams-Seattle game. That's for their division. They're both juggernauts. They're both just really awesome. But be careful about taking Seattle in that one. Remember, Seattle really hasn't played anyone. They've played one good team, and that was Tampa, and Tampa beat them in a shootout. Other than that, they really haven't played a really good team. The Rams have played a couple. They've played the Eagles. They played the Colts. And I would be shocked if the Rams don't win this one, especially at home. They're at home. That's going to be a huge deal. But just be careful if you're going to be, you're going to get out there with them Seahawks on this one. There's a good chance that Seattle kind of comes back to earth on this one, and we actually get to see how good their offensive line is because the Rams do have a really good pass rush. I want to be on the Rams there. I really want to play them. And we'll probably see what happens with that Miami game early on. If I win that, I'll probably take that money and put it on the Rams. I just think that Seattle's going to have a little bit of a comeback to earth moment here against the Rams. I think the Rams are head and shoulders the best team in the NFC, being that they're super young and they're just super. I don't know how to say it. They're almost violent with how good they are on offense and defense, right? Like they're just that effective, both passing, running, rushing the passer. Everything about them is just, they're built to win, and they got a championship quarterback and a championship coach. Something that Seattle just doesn't have these pieces, right? I think in these bigger games We're going to see Seattle flounder a little bit, and I love Seattle. We've been crushing it, making money on them when I do bet them because they have a great home field advantage. First of all, that's one of their big things, is their home field is amazing. But the other thing about them is Seattle. Seattle can run the ball and throw the ball, and Smith and Jigba has had a great season. But the Rams have an answer for that. Plus, the Rams are going to score. Seattle's been getting against teams that don't score on them. When the teams that did score on them, like Tampa Bay, Seattle kept up. It's just they couldn't finish. So I think we see that again. I think we see a pretty good game, but I think the Rams come out on top. The Tampa Buffalo game is big too because both of them teams need a win to kind of validate that they're not floundering. Buffalo, especially if they lose at home to Tampa after losing in Miami, we might be talking about Buffalo like a fringe team. I'm not. I was huge on Buffalo to start the season. I've really lost a lot of faith in Buffalo. They can't stop the run, and I don't think Josh Allen is doing very well in the situation he's in with the lack of talent. So personally, and I know a lot of people love Josh Allen. I'm less in love with him. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he should have won the MVP, but I don't think he can win it all by himself. So I think he needs some really top end talent with him, and they didn't give it to him. So I don't expect much out of him. And they won't just feed Cook. They won't just make that their game plan. So I expect them to kind of flounder as well. And if I was going to pick in that game, I'm definitely taking them points with the Buccaneers. But they could lose. The Buccaneers have kind of been in the same boat. The Buccaneers is more based on injury because they're built on a receiving core that's all beat up. But anyway, like I said, for the bets, we got Kansas City -4. I love that one. And then Detroit, Philly over 47. Those are my two favorite bets. I did bet Miami on here. That's up to you guys. I just think that's a good play, mostly based on how bad Washington is. I just think they'll struggle to keep up with Miami. And Miami will feed Achane just relentlessly. So, and I don't think that Washington can stop the run or the pass. So, I expect that one to be somewhat of a blowout. But, anyways, guys, thank you for your time. That's all I got for you. Like I said, just the two plays. You got to go back to basics. Take the tried and true stuff. No fancy stuff. I don't like anything in Thursday, really. I talked about it a little bit. It's just such a terrible game, in my opinion, to bet. That line is so big and it makes sense, but is just too much going on there for me to be really involved. Plus, there's a ton of college basketball that day that's much, much better plays. So anyways, guys, thank you for your time.